There we go. Oh, we're already live. I thought I entered the studio and didn't realize I'd entered. I gotta find my glasses. They disappeared. I know, but I lose glasses because of my advanced age. So I set them somewhere. Like, weird, right? There we go. Hold on a second. I have no idea where anything is. I think that they're probably they're not in my pocket. Weird. I lost my glasses, and until I find my glasses, I can't see anything. Where the heck could they be? Are they next to the tripod case? No. Well, hello everybody. Oh, and your name is Blur, and your name is Blur. Wow, we got two people in the room, both named Blur. Well, one of them's named Blurry. My glasses have vanished. They were here. They were here. I think there's another pair on, maybe in the bathroom. Hold on a minute. And I see exactly, there's exactly Blur number of people in the room. How about the top section of the backpack? There might be one more pair.
Yeah, those are broken.
Okay, this is the most. How do you lose glasses in a hotel room? Right there they are. Yeah. You just had to crawl around your hand. Let's see how many people are in here. 33. Oh my God. I thought there was actually blurry. Let's see. Let me scroll down. Hi. Hey. Blurry for the win. Oh no. Fun watching you play today. You did great. Thanks for signing my disc. Absolutely. I had a great time today. Nice round today. Thank you. It was a good round today. Just as it illustrates just how damn good all these players are, because I shot a 3-under with one bogey on the toboggan course. Like, I'm telling y'all, that is really, really good golf. And yeah, I'm still trailing. I'm only like 2 strokes out of top 10, or like 3 strokes out of 8th. So I am in the hunt for a top. Well, I'm not for a top 10 finish. I'm still trying to win, but I'm already kind of 7 off the lead. But I'm right there for a top 10 finish. So toboggan is a brutal course. So let's see, taking it down this weekend. Yeah, why not? I'll come out of nowhere. No, I mean, oh God, it's going to be extremely hard to come back from a. It sounds so funny to come back from a 10-25 rated round. But I am definitely in the hunt for top 10. There's no question. Oh, you saw the 8-year-old on hole 18. That just missed going in, I think. I look at where the disc landed. It must have been like within a foot of going in. How's the weather? It's beautiful. It's not hot. It's not. I mean, it's warm, but it's not like yucky warm. Hello, Benita. I can't wait for Des Moines too. Y'all are gonna have so much fun. Benita's coming to one of my seminars. 72 people. So this is an experiment. I am thinking about just going live every Friday night at 9 o'clock and just hanging out with my friends all over the world. So love the recreation of Eagles, or recreation of Eagles standstill shot over the guardrail. That was fun. Leggy Scott, got the pop. Leggy Scott, that's not too bad. I kind of like that. Harvey, I love you, Harvey Barger. Adam A, let's go. Well done, extra round. Yeah, it was cool. It was really fun. So this is going to be a gauge. Let's see, how often do you play after you keep body from breaking down? How do I keep from breaking down so my body doesn't get hurt? That's a really good question. So I will start by saying, y'all ready for this? You are going to think that I just, this was a plant that I stuck in here just to ask that question, because I am about to announce a disc golf fitness class with Seth Muncie at Disc Golf Strong. He teaches fitness related to competing at disc golf. I teach the mechanics of disc golf throwing technique. But we are introducing a class about just disc golf health. Well, not about disc golf health. It's about health and lifestyle and taking care of your body and feeling good and having energy. And, disc golf is a part of it only in the sense that it's like a great way to get, exercise and be outdoors, and it's good for mental health, but it's not a disc golf class. It's about health. And we are not weighing foods. We are not counting macros, whatever the hell that made up word is. We are, it's about how I'm living my life, which is I'm I'm really happy and I feel really good, but I'm not on a diet or something weird. That's not the right word. It's not weird, but I'm not doing anything where I'm hating my life in order to get into shape. So I will be announcing that shortly. Let's see. If any questions pop up, can you pop them on the screen? Okay, gotcha. How do I stop rolling my wrist, getting more power on my forehand? You didn't roll your wrist. I don't even have to watch you throw to tell you didn't roll your wrist. What you're doing is if you were right-handed, you threw a shot that left your hand, and instead of flying the way you wanted, it went left of where you were aiming and turned over, and everyone says they rolled their wrist. You didn't roll your wrist. What you did is you were turned sideways on the tee pad, and you threw across your body. Take your front foot, stick it forward, and end your throw as a forward-facing throw. And if you're stepping forward on a forward-facing throw, you won't do that thing that you're calling rolling your wrist. Oh, sweet. D. Perry felt snap for the first time today. That's awesome. It's amazing, right? The first time you feel it, it's like cracking a whip. You could sit there with it's like if you had a bullwhip and you're out there swinging around. It's not that satisfying until the damn thing actually cracks. And then it doesn't crack the next couple times because you're still learning how to crack a whip. But once it starts cracking every time, it's like, holy cow. Okay, I'm going to plug the sauce. Yes, Scott Stokely barbecue sauce is available at scottsstokely.net. 4 flavors: Kansas City sweet, Carolina vinegar, Texas smoky, and California spicy. And if you ordered the sauce, please, when you get the sauce in and you eat it, take a picture of you sitting at a table eating my barbecue sauce, telling people how awesome it is. And then tag me on it, and we'll share those pictures up on the different sites. Kevin Wynn. What's up, Kevin Wynn? One of my dearest friends from way back when I was younger. Kevin and I go way back, Kevin. It's always great to hear from you, friend. And yes, it was from the 80s. It was, what's really funny is that I, before I wrote my autobiography, I had certain stories that, like, I wasn't throwing anybody under the bus. So I put some stories in there from a mutual friend of ours' house. And I asked him, I said, are you comfortable with me telling those stories? And he said, absolutely not comfortable with it. Please don't. And I didn't share all the stories of what we did in the 80s. So between you and me, I know, he knows, Robert knows, Slate knew, and of course, Denny B knew. So no one else, though. How do I cross-train? So right now, right this very minute, I don't have time to cross-train because I do, like an all-day seminar every Monday, 3 online classes every Tuesday, clinic Wednesday, clinic Thursday, video every single day, tournament, blah, 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 travel, practice. But the number one cross-training in all of disc golf, in my opinion, is to rock climb. And by the way, you can do it in a gym. You actually get a better workout in a gym than actually really climbing. It's not as much fun as outdoor climbing. But when you're in a gym, you are grip strength, your forearms are getting burly, your traps are getting burly from holding yourself up, your quads and your calves are getting strong, you're getting flexible. You're also balanced and focused and breathing and staying calm and coordination. I do not think there's a better, oh, by the way, your core is like tight because you're clenching the whole time. So I do not think there's a better form of cross training out there than rock climbing. Yeah, Kevin, I won't share those stories. I don't have to. You know them. You were there. I mean, it's funny because most of the best stories end with, Yeah, and I'm kind of ashamed of that. I couldn't look myself in the mirror the next day. but those are the best stories, right? I mean, well, in a certain genre of storytelling. Carrie, it's funny to talk about the origins of the modern day golf discs, how it really changed from regular frisbees. No midnight to midnight flyers, eventually the eagle. Lots of new players don't know the beginnings. So up until the late 70s, the competitive frisbees that you played with at tournaments, including professional, world championship tournaments, were the exact same frisbees that you bought at a grocery store. And then Whammo came out with their world class line. And the thing about the world class line is those were just frisbees that you bought at a grocery store, except they said world class on them, and they were marketed as sports discs. But they weren't any different. They were called world class, but they were sold in the sporting goods department, which made them not toys. They were sporting goods. And then Whammo decided then they were going to make some heavier discs for disc golf. And what they would do, not just disc golf, also for distance. But what they would do is they would add something to make them heavier. And it turned out the additive that made them heavier was a blend that included phosphorus. And that's why the Midnight Flyers glowed. It wasn't originally that, hey, let's make frisbees that glow. It was, let's make frisbees heavier. That's what'll make them heavier. The thing you got to keep in mind, which is why it's so tricky when it comes to weights. It seems like, you can make a disc heavier or lighter. It seems like it would be pretty easy until you actually think it through and you realize you have a metal, solid piece of steel mold. You melt plastic. You inject that plastic into the mold. Well, why would one disc weigh more or less than another? They're both filled with plastic. Well, the reason why they weigh more or less is because they have slightly more or slightly less of certain ingredients. So they might all be like, say, polypropylene or polyurethane, but they might have arnitel or hytrel in them, or barium at it's a different density. So anyways, just to make the discs heavier so they flew farther, they put this additive of phosphorus. Midnight Flyers made them glow. A couple people made frisbees that were heavy golf discs, like brand X. AMF Voigt put out a couple discs called the Vector, but they were still just frisbees. And I'll make this short because I could talk about this for hours. But the first real disc that was just different than a frisbee was the Puppy from the original Destiny discs. Well, they became dynamic discs, the original dynamic discs, no relation to the modern dynamic. Jan Sobel. And these are still frisbees. It wasn't beveled, but it was small. But the reason I say it's the first real golf disc was it was the first disc made specifically for golf. It's not a catch disc. It was smaller and heavier. And they would actually go up to like 275 grams. That's a true story. You could buy like a 275 gram disc because there was no weight limits. They didn't fly very well, but they could take a 50 mile an hour headwind like it wasn't there. And then, of course, there was a disc. Benoit came out with the first beveled edge disc that they made a few of, but it never caught on. And then Innova Champion, they're the ones that broke ground with the Eagle, the first beveled edge golf disc, and that's what changed everything. That's the 50-cent history. When is the standard basket coming out? Okay, so I know for like insider information that they're talking about that. Here's the thing. Here's the challenge with the standardized basket. Number one, you cannot make a basket that everybody's going to agree is the best because certain baskets catch different putting styles better. So when one person says, oh my God, the disc catcher catches way better than than whatever, the Chain Star, it's like they might be right for their putting form, their speed, their angle, their disc selection. But someone else would have a different opinion. So there isn't going to be a universal basket that every single person says this is great. Now, if the DGPT puts out a standard basket, it's going to have to be a unique basket mold because all these tournaments are sponsored by disc companies, and the disc companies are not going to want to put all this money into a tournament with their competitors' baskets on the course. So you can't have you can't just say, hey, we're going to go with the Prodigy basket, everybody, because then any of us going to be like, well, I'm not going to sponsor this tournament with Prodigy baskets. Well, I don't know for sure they would say that, but if I was in it, I would probably think that. So it would have to be a complete third-party basket. And then the question is, are those baskets going to be better? Well, the best people in the world at making baskets are making baskets at all these companies. They're all a little bit different, but it's not like, oh, there's just one better basket design that no one has chose to make at this point. So they might do something to standardize it, but I don't know how that's going to change anything. Personally, I would love to see baskets smaller, not as tall and also not as wide, and make them harder, because right now, just to give you an idea, I mean, I had a good putting day today, but if you look at my stats, I was 100% circle 1 and I was 43% circle 2, and I'm elderly. I mean, putting is not what you would call my strength, and even I had a perfect day. That shouldn't happen. So I'd like to see baskets harder, personally. What of the 4 barbecue sauces is my favorite? Robert, where are you? Whatever state is closest to either Texas, Missouri, North Carolina, or California that you're in, that's my favorite. Actually, I like them all. I hate to say it. If I was forced to have one and not any of the others, I kind of like the Texas smoky, but I do like them all.
I like California spicy better.
You like the spicy? Adriana likes the spicy better. The spicy actually has a little bit of bite to it.
It's so good.
Yeah,
it still has actual flavor, and it's not just hot.
No, it's not just hot. It has actual flavor. And if you ordered the sauce, please take a picture and post it to your social media. That's the best promotion I can get. When am I coming down to Florida? I do not know if I'll be to Florida anytime soon, because we are booked solid through the end of October. The final tournament in the U.S. is the big giant money skins match that I qualified for at the Eagles Crossing skins match that they just announced today has a minimum of $100,000 skins match.
$50,000 guaranteed to the winner.
$50,000 guaranteed to the winner of the skins match. And after that tournament, we're leaving the country for at least 14 months. And I don't know when I'm coming back. I mean, I don't have plans to come back. I don't have plans to stay away. I just don't have plans beyond the end of next year. Depends on how much fun we're having on the other side of the world. So come winter, at the end of next season, at the end of the Euro Tour, I'm probably going south of the equator again. Love that you got your jersey in. Model, put the jersey on, go stand somewhere looking sexy, and post it to your social media and tell everybody about this cool jersey, and then tag me and I'll share it. I fan grip everything and never feel the snap. What do I do to make it happen? The reason you don't feel the snap has nothing to do with your grip. I don't throw with the power grip. Power grip is a myth. As far as it being more power, it's not less power. It's just a grip. The reason you're not feeling the snap, there's 2 things that are going to cause that. Number 1, you are rotating your upper body before you plant your foot. You need to plant your foot first. Go search for Scott Stokely snap. There's a 12-minute video with a couple 100,000 views. That'll explain exactly what snap is. It's way too long. I'd have to talk for 12 minutes in this video and demonstrate. But go search for Scott Stokely snap and you will get. Oh, there's no sound on YouTube? This is the first person I've seen that said that, so I don't think that's the case. Is anybody else hearing me on YouTube? Please confirm. Oh yeah, we're getting a lot of comments on YouTube, so I think it's just yours. Not sure why. But yeah, so plant your foot first and make sure your wrist is straight. Don't bend your wrist the opposite backwards direction. Okay, we got sound on YouTube. So it's just you. You probably put the 4 steps together of taking a class at 65, and I'm a blast beating my son on my own course I have at my ranch. Yeah, don't let your kid beat you. When is that supposed to be? They tell you that there's nothing more rewarding than when your child starts to beat you at something. Where the hell did that come from? That is a bunch of politically correct millennial stuff, as I lose 20% of my audience. No, I've tried my best to keep my daughter down as long as I could and beat her at every chance I get, because the reality is that there is things she's better at than me, and there were things that she was beating me in. And so I didn't take pride in her beating me. I bugged the hell out of me. It's terrible, right? Worst dad ever. In pressure situations like league playing tournaments, I lose all confidence in my putting. Any team making those putts in those situations. I practice, generally feel like a good putter until the pressure hits. Okay, yeah, I got one for you. You have to replicate as best as possible tournaments. And I'm going to chat for a minute. I'm going to go get on the lecture circuit here, because I'm going to tell you all a story about something. And by the way, in this story, I'm going to shit all over sports psychologists. You know, those really smart people that know way more than me about sports psychology. And like, I think just about every one of them is like, couldn't be more wrong with what they do. So this is, it's going to take a minute. So not forgive me. It's a good story. So a player came up to me one time and said, hey, I always get first hole jitters. Now what I'm going to tell you will apply to putting, driving, tournaments, whatever. But in this case, the player says, I get first hole jitters. I step up to the first hole, I get nervous. What can I do? I always bogey the first hole. And I said, well, what do you do now? He goes, well, I got this great book on sports psychology that I've been reading. And I just already was like, well, if you're coming to ask me for help, clearly that book's not doing you any good, right? And he goes, well, here's what the book tells me to do. He says, so when I hear the 2-minute sound, we're going to tee off in 2 minutes. The first thing I do is I walk away from my group by myself. And then I close my eyes. And then what I do is I visualize an imaginary line inside of my head from the left side to the right side. I imagine a line from front to back, and I imagine a line from top to bottom. And then what I do is I just focus, and I can kind of see the lines in my head, and I focus, and they're not connecting in the middle. And I'm like moving them around, just trying to get, and I keep moving them around. And finally, those 3 lines inside my head, they finally converge at one point. Okay, that's the exercise, that I need to do to make sure that I'm centered. And I have no idea to this day what the person meant by centered. It just sounded like someone trying to be smart. So I do that till I'm centered. Then after that, I open my eyes. Then I take 3 deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And then I walk over to the first hole, and I got first hole jitters. And I said, well, yeah, obviously you have first hole jitters. I said, here's what I'm going to paraphrase for you, what this book just told you to do. Number 1, the first key to not getting nervous, isolate from all of your friends. I said, okay, so now you isolate from all your friends. And then what I want you to do is do a extremely complicated mental exercise to make sure you realize that you're in a tournament. Because I asked him, I said, do you do any of this stuff at league night? He goes, no. And I said, do you get nervous at league night? He goes, no, of course not. Okay, and in your case, it's practice rounds or in your backyard or by yourself. He goes, I don't get nervous at league night. I get nervous at tournaments. First hole jitters. I said, well, so basically this book says to you, go isolate from your friends, totally different than you would do at league night, because it's a tournament. You need to be by yourself. Do this mental exercise. You know why? Because we want to make sure to remind you, this is a tournament. It's a tournament. It's different. And then it says, and by the way, I know you've been breathing your whole life, but you don't know how to breathe properly. So we're going to do a breathing exercise. And you know why we have to do that? Because it's a tournament. The book was basically saying, how many different ways can we reinforce the idea that you're doing something different? Why would you want to do something differently when you aren't nervous doing it this way? So full of shit. What you should be doing is trying to replicate what you do when you're not nervous in the tournament situation and make it less of a tournament, not more of a tournament. So I said, what do you do before league night? He goes, well, I usually text my kids, make sure they're doing their homework. Okay, well then right before you're playing a tournament, text your kids. And I think he was surprised because, like, what do you mean you're texting your kids before a tournament? That's not how you concentrate for a tournament. No, that's how you replicate the situation where you're at your best. So the biggest key to not getting nervous above, I think, anything else is put yourself in the mindset of where you're at your best. And if where you're at your best is in the backyard by yourself, do what you do in the backyard by yourself. If you don't get nervous playing with your friends, well, then you're just playing Frisbee golf with your friends. But don't do something different because it's a tournament. It's crazy. Those sports psychologists with all their knowledge. What is your favorite approach disc and why the only correct answer is the Berg? Well, first off, it is the Berg. And the reason why is because the Berg is a terrible flying disc. It doesn't fly. That's exactly what you want in a Berg. In an approach disc. You want a disc that when you're throwing an approach shot, it just stops. And when you throw it a little bit too hard, it doesn't go too far past. That's it. You throw, yeah. Oh, by the way, you can get Bergs at scottstokely.net. There. Thank you for the plug. Actually, I'm going to do a quick plug. I have Tour Series Lutz available. This is the disc I'm throwing most of my hyzer flips with. I threw it once today, and I didn't throw it well, but I love this disc. And you can get signed Lutz at scottstokely.net. There's only I think 15 of them left signed. So if you want to sign one, you got to get it. And this is my putter. This is the disc that changed my life. I went from 103rd in putting on the Pro Tour, which last I checked, that's not good. Especially when there's 120 people. The first tournament after I switched to the Marvel, I was 10th place in Circle 1 putting at Dynamic Discs Open. And the next tournament that tracked it, I was 16th place at Masters Cup, Circle 1X with the Marvel. So I'm going to plug my stuff. But I just taught y'all how not to be nervous. I just made y'all so much money at league night. All right. Will conditioning be a factor? It absolutely will not be a factor because I worked my ass off for the last 12 months to get into shape. I was not even the slightest bit fatigued today because I'm in shape. I wouldn't have said that a year ago. A year ago, I would have been sucking wind. But to get ready for the tour, because these kids are so damn good, I did everything I had to get into shape. And I'll take that as a segue. I'm not just trying to sell y'all stuff. Technically, this would, if this was a talk show, that would be my commercial break for the sponsor. So I guess I don't mind. But we are about to announce a disc golf fitness class. Basically, it's about modifying your lifestyle for anybody that wants to be healthier and feel better and without being dramatic, live longer, losing weight. I'm sorry, you're not supposed to say that in 2022, but if you are dealing with issues with weight, things are harder than they need to be. And I had to lose weight and get into shape for the tour, and I did it without some stupid diet. I did it without some radical stuff. I don't have measuring cups in my suitcase, and I'm not counting macros. I made some big changes, but they have paid off immensely. So I'm going to share that with everybody because I would love it if all of you lived long enough to follow me for another 20, 30 years. I don't want any of my older friends to leave me too soon because you weren't in as good a shape as you could have been. I'm doing a video on exercising strong for disc golf. I am not doing a video on exercise specific to disc golf because Disc Golf Strong does that better than me and better than I could do. Seth Muncie at Disc Golf Strong. I'm doing my disc golf fitness class in partnership with Seth, but when it comes to actual disc golf training, there's nothing I could do that would be better than what he's doing. I think he's the best. When would be the best time to meet and get a signature? Well, anytime I'm at the pro on the tour, any disc golf pro tour event, I will be at. My schedule's posted. But basically, I'm only doing those the pro tour events. Actually, that's not true. I'm doing clinics in between. Go to scottstokely.net, get on the mailing list, and you'll be notified when I'm doing clinics, because I don't always do clinics in a town where the tournament is. Sometimes it's in between the tournaments on a Wednesday. So get on scottstokely.net, get on the mailing list. Ever play around that you only threw forehand like Kramer? Actually, was it last weekend? Last weekend, where the hell were we last weekend? I only threw like three. Oh no, Columbus Open. Brent Hambrick. I only threw three backhands on the whole course. I think 1, 2, 3. I threw 15 sidearms. Not by choice. I'm 50-50, but they were shots for the sidearm. It was a very sidearm friendly course. By the way, I think that Chandler Kramer's got the best sidearm in the game right now. I'll go out on a limb and say that. Can we get a book about returning back to the tour and the lessons learned? You know, it's almost as if I just finished my first draft of that book, and now we're in the rewrite portion, and it's going to be available Christmas of next year. Hypothetically. Yeah, no, I'm definitely writing a book. My autobiography came to an abrupt end in 2000 story. And the next part of the book is going to be my Empire Strikes Back. And yes, I just dated myself, but those of you who aren't 9 should get the reference. The Empire Strikes Back was the moody and gloomy, the most critically acclaimed but least fun of the trilogy. That's probably how I would describe the second book, because I took 13 years off from the sport. That's where the book starts. And during my 13 years off, the first 10 years were phenomenal. I highly recommend everybody have like 10 years of their life in their 30s or 20s where you're making money faster than you could spend it. And it's really, really, really fun until it catches up with you. And then you have a couple of years that are really, really, really bad. Basically, like I cashed in all that fun, and by the time it was all done, that 13 years was a break even in terms of fun. But the 13 years were great. A couple of years were really awful, and then I came back to the sport, and yes, I learned a lot. I really want to hit 500 feet on flat ground, but I plateaued at 450. Common mistakes at that sort of distance. Okay, so first off, you cannot throw 450 feet with bad form. Physically impossible. So your form's good. I can tell you right now, period, your form is good. It doesn't mean it's perfect, but it's not bad. I think at this point, when you're already throwing 450 feet without watching you throw, it's going to be just practice. Just keep going. Maybe cross training is big, and just getting stronger. I mean, at that point, the difference between 450 feet and 500 feet is probably like 4 miles per hour on the disc. So we're not talking about a massive leap. It's not big. If you're throwing 450, you're probably throwing 70 miles an hour. And if you get up to 74, that's like 500 feet. Or I'm making that up, but it's not far off. So what little things can you do? Well, if you're stronger, that will add distance. 100% for sure. Anybody tells you otherwise, they're wrong. So just simply cross-training will do something. And then just playing. When you get to 450 feet, you're going to plateau because you're already close to, I'm not saying you're close to the ceiling, but it's not like you're throwing 200 feet and you're nowhere near where you're going to go. So it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means that you just have to fine-tune little things. One-finger forehand player in the 40s. Tons of power. Any tips for adding less stable disc to the rotation? Looking for a straighter non-flex flight as well as distance with less effort. Less stable discs in the rotation. Yeah, well, the big thing is when you, I made videos about don't serve the pizza. Your wrist goes this direction. It does not go this way. And a lot of players that correctly do this, their wrist goes this direction when they're throwing an Anheuser or flat shot. The minute they drop their arm down low and throw a sidearm Heiser shot, instead of doing this motion right there, they actually will then flip the wrist up and serve the pizza. And as soon as you do that, you don't have a good Heiser throw mechanically. So if you're struggling with that, that's probably the reason why, because if you have good power up here, you should have no problem leaning to the side and dropping your arm. You're probably flipping your palm up when you're throwing the Heiser shots. Probably. The sliding glass door is showing the whole room. It is. Oh, that's right. You can see. Are you dressed? Is that why you got dressed?
Yeah. Pull the curtain shut.
Oh, I'll pull the curtain shut.
Which is that one? That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good call. Okay, now you don't have to be dressed. Yeah. She always gets dressed now when I go live, even if the camera's facing me, because I don't want to say I've accidentally flipped the camera on her during a meeting, but I may have twice. Wait, was it twice?
Yeah.
Twice.
That whole fool me once thing.
Yeah, fool me once, twice. I fooled you twice.
Yeah.
So I've had 2 business meetings where the person I had the meeting with got flashed, not by me. Let's see. Who are some of the most fit disc golfers in your mind? I mean, Ezra is obviously in good shape, muscular. I don't know about the cardio. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm saying I just don't have a gauge. I think Brody's in pretty good shape. He's an ultimate player, but yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. No one's really in bad shape. The thing is, it's golf, and because it's golf, it's easy to not take that part as serious, because the fact is you can get away with being pretty good without being in shape. The thing I always think, though, is that if there's a touring player, like even if they're really darn good, their rating is fill in the blank, and they're not in the best shape. They got a few extra pounds, but they got this really good rating. It's like, well, look, it's not affecting them. I disagree. I say in a parallel universe, that person that drops a few pounds, gets in a little better shape, gets a tiny bit less fatigued, is dragging a little bit of, they can rotate a little bit faster. They might be a stroke or 2 around better. That's 12 ratings points. And if you're a guy who goes from 1020 to 1032 by getting into better shape, I mean, that's 2 strokes around. That's nothing. 2 strokes. If you can gain 2 strokes by being a little bit better shape, and I'll even give an example of this. This course is really, really hilly. The toboggan course we're playing today everything's up and down hills. Every time I walked up a steep hill to get to my lie, I'm not winded. There's no way that of course I throw better shots because I'm not with my heart beating in my chest. So if you can get even if you're a 1020 player, you could be 1032, or if you're a female player who's 950, but you could be 962. If you're taking this sport seriously, why would you settle for not as good as you could be? If I won the Mega Millions jackpot, what would I do with $1 billion? Well, first, I would never get over the fact that I played the lottery. It would watch. I'm just gonna shit all over a third of you are playing the lottery, and I'm gonna rip on you for it. So, but I'm really good at math, so I don't play the lottery. I think it's a tax on people that dropped out of algebra class. If I won the Mega Millions jackpot, what would I do with the $1 billion? I'll tell you what, I wouldn't stuff it in my mattress. I have never, and I'm not a hypocrite, because I'm making really good money now, and I'm giving a ton of it away because I don't care about money. I hate money. Actually, Adriana, you can yell the answers, Adriana. Did I yell the answers so I can hear you? Did I or did I not tell you when we met? Just if you're going to be with me, you have to accept the fact that I give a lot of my money away, correct?
And the more you make, the more you'll give away.
Yep. And I said, by the way, and my career is growing, and the more I make, the more I'm going to give away. And I can't have a partner that would have a problem with that. I could never be with a partner who was like, ooh, we should probably hang on to that. I don't give a shit. So I'm not a hypocrite. So I would honestly give most of it away, because who cares? By the way, I'm not saying money's not important. I like having the money to pay for my hotel, my gas. I have health insurance. I'm building a retirement. It's not that I'm not doing the responsible things that make, I'm not being stupid. It's just that above and beyond that, what do I need? I'm not going to buy a nicer fill in the blank. I mean, I got everything. Do I putt? Do I imagine the line going to the basket? Do I have any mental projections? Okay, so that's a really good question. And I don't. Today, I just focus on mechanics, just do all the mechanical things right. And I just do what I do, which is when I play my best, when I'm practicing is when I'm putting my best. I'm not thinking. I'm just doing the thing that I've done 6 or 7 million times in my life. And I don't think about it. That does not mean that I think that's automatically the best approach, because what you do mentally to prepare yourself to succeed at sports is very individual. So like I don't visualize, but I would never suggest that, oh, visualization is not important, because there's way too many extremely successful high level athletes that do visualize. That's just not what I do. But I don't think they're right or wrong. I'm not right or wrong. We're just, our personalities are so different. It's like when it comes to like throwing technique, physics trumps style, biomechanics trump personal taste. Like there's a right and a wrong way to throw, because it's mechanics. I can show you with probabilities why this shot is better than that one. I don't think that's the case with mental game. I think mental game is totally very much individual. So, have I played a local course at Hudson Springs? Did you try a Swence's Hamburger in the Akron area? So I didn't play any of the courses in Akron. I may have played Hudson Springs. I don't really keep track. Like I'm really bad about, like I've had people tell me that like I played courses and I'm like, I don't remember, because I'm old.
Not a course collector.
Yeah, I don't get, so I don't, so the thing is, like, I can't think of it. I don't think I've played a single round of golf this year on a course that wasn't a tournament course we're playing. And if someone corrects me because I played around in March or something, I'll believe you. But I only have a certain amount. Thanks, Nate. I only have a certain number of throws in me that I can do when I'm training before I hit a point of diminishing return. So 100% of my throws are going to always be on the courses I'm competing on, and it's always been that way. So I don't like, I mean, it's my job. As funny as that sounds, my job has always been at some core level to play. And so my focus is there, not the recreation part. You changed your pizza throwing forehand. I changed my pizza throwing forehand your style. Still feels awkward, but it's getting better. It feels so much easier. Thank you. You are very welcome. Yeah, that whole keep your palm up thing, like I don't know. Hey, y'all want to hear the most arrogant thing you're ever going to hear in the history of the internet? Now I have to say it, don't I? Now I can't even back down.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a actually accurate statement. There are a lot of people with platforms.
Okay, I'm going to say something really incredibly arrogant. I'll say something incredibly arrogant. All those videos out there, like keep the elbow close to the body on the sidearm, or keep your palm up when you throw sidearm. You know what every single one of those has in common? I'm the only one in the world making money off them, because people watch those videos and then they come to my seminars to figure out like why their shot wasn't working. So yeah, some of that stuff out there, I don't even know where it comes from. It's completely false. By the way, I'm not saying every opinion I have about throwing technique is correct. There are a lot of areas. Just a minute ago, I talked about visualization. I have no problem saying this area is my opinion, but there's other valid opinions. So I don't think every thought I have is the only truth. But there are some things where I will die on that hill, and like serving the pizza, like absolutely not. Peggy Berry. Wait, is this Peggy? My Anheuser is either too extreme or doesn't hold the line. Pretty sure it's not the disc. So the thing about the Anheuser is, it's just, my guess is you probably, okay, without watching you, probably swiveling your wrist. Even if you're throwing an Anheuser, make sure that your hand follows through like you're backhanding somebody. And if it's an Anheuser, you're backhanding down. Don't karate chop and put that pinky forward with the palm down. That's probably the biggest thing that's causing the misflight of a disc. And that's without watching, I'm guessing. What's the best way to figure out how hard to throw a 5-speed or a 7 versus a 7-speed? Well, that's not really based on how hard to throw. It's a real simple answer. If it works, I mean, like, if you throw it at a certain speed, then throw it at that speed. I throw, and like every pro on tour will throw a putter at full speed, like a speed, whatever. I don't even know what like APRs and Wizards are. But we all throw those at full speed, 100%. So that has nothing to do with that. Now, high-speed disc doesn't usually fly well at low speeds, but you can throw it as hard as you want. Having trouble throwing mid-range drivers, flat forehands, any advice? Yeah, so putters require more spin than mid-ranges. Mid-ranges / approaches require more spin than drivers. Drivers require more spin than high-speed drivers relative to speed. The faster a disc goes, the more spin it has. So once you develop a sidearm technique that works for like your higher speed drivers, it doesn't automatically work for mid-range discs because you have to improve your skill of putting spin on the disc. So you have to get the spin on the mid-range disc, and once you can put enough spin to throw a buzz or a truth or a rock or in my case like harps or piwaka wakas, once you have enough spin for those, that doesn't mean you have enough spin to throw your putters. You still got to develop the skill of adding more spin. You have to spin the heck out of a putter to get it to fly. So that is probably why you're having a harder time with it. The big thing there, make sure you're not serving the pizza. You can't get spin in the disc this way. It's this way. Hello from Southern Illinois. Have I played Foundation Park in Centralia? I don't think so, but I did stand next to the Superman statue in Southern Illinois, in Smallville. Was it actually in Smallville? Is that what it's called?
No, I don't think it was called Smallville.
Metropolis?
Metropolis.
Metropolis. Okay. Yeah.
Smallville's the wrong film.
Yes. My perfect pre-round meal. Okay, so I'm gonna talk way outside my area of expertise for pre-round meal, but I just stay away from the carbs. Carbs make you hungry, and carbs make you crash. High protein and fat is, I believe, at least in my experience, but I believe will give you a longer, more stable energy. The idea of like carb loading seems like that may be kind of an old-fashioned idea because carb doesn't, I believe it spikes your insulin and then you crash and it's more of an up and down. So a lot of people that do like eat carbs and eat snacks will also, if they're doing it right, again, out of my area of expertise, but you have to snack frequently to like keep your blood sugar up and which you don't need to do when you just eat like high protein. By the way, I could be 1,000% wrong on that one. That is not my area of expertise, but that's what I've learned. If I eat carbs, I get hungry sooner. Who are the best 4 sidearmers on tour right now? Chandler Kramer, number 1. After Chandler, I would say, as far as just the ability to throw the disc, I would say it's really hard because everybody's so good. I would say I'm going to put me in the group. Even though I'm 1,004 rated, there's a lot of areas of the game where I'm losing strokes. It's not the sidearm. I would put me in that group, and I would put Chris Clemens in that group, and probably either Wysocki, Coling, or Sexton. And by Wysocki, Coling, or Sexton, I mean Wysocki, Coling, Sexton are about one of 50 other players who are great at it. I mean, everybody's got a good sidearm these days. Albert Tam's sidearm I played with a practice round with him, and it's disgusting how damn good he is. So I think Chandler put a little gap between himself and the group right there. I don't want to put pressure on him, but I think so.
But he needs a backhand.
He needs a backhand. Can I push Snoota Snacks in the pool? So what he is referring to.
Who is Joe? You need to say who is Joe.
Yeah, Joe is my first disc golf coach. And he we had a friend at the apartment complex. I'm going to keep this PG. A friend at the apartment complex who had his clothing taken from him in the pool while we were in the apartment, and then sat in the pool for a really long time, begging us to throw a towel. And finally, Joe threw him a towel. And he puts the towel on. He comes to the door to open the door, and Joe opens the door, rips the towel off, and slams the door in his face. Is that the story you're talking about? I'm thinking it is. Yeah. Good times. Any tips for warming up on David Turnaround? Okay, you got to figure out what works best for you. But I think throwing is better than anything. I mean, I just, it seems just so logical, just throwing soft and then working up to throwing harder. I mean, you're literally using the muscles that you use when you're going to be throwing. Like, how could that not be the right idea? I mean, you're rotating, you're planting, you're using your quads and your calves and your biceps and your triceps and your traps and your forearms and your obliques. You're using all these different muscles. Like, why would that be wrong? Like, so I personally think you can't go wrong throwing and warming up. What gets me heated most about disc golf? Like, pissed off about disc golf? Absolutely nothing. Not right now. How about that for a completely politically correct answer? Disc golf is crushing right now. It's so good right now. I can't get over, and I'm out on tour and all these players. I mean, they're all good kids. And I call them kids because I'm 12 years older than the next oldest. They're all good kids. I mean, some of them might be, like you catch them on a bad moment, like, they just had a bad round. They might be a little bit grumpy, but it's just because they care. They're not going to be rude or disrespectful. They're all nice. They're all professional. The spectators are great. There's nothing wrong with disc golf. Nothing gets me heated about it. That's the truth. What's your thoughts on the pistol grip? Well, the pistol grip is just the name. It's just the name of a sidearm grip. By the way, what he's referring to is, depending where you are in the country, you have a sidearm, a forehand, a flick, a two-finger macho sidewinder, which is Victor Malafronte's name for it. And out in California, I'm not even going to here. Go ahead and post the answer, but I'm guessing you're in the Sacramento area. Would be my guess, because Sacramento is the hub of where they refer to the two fingers of pistol. And the reason they call it a pistol is because when you take your fingers off, you're basically like a kid shooting a pistol. Let's see. So that's what the pistols. Now, as far as the grip,
a video on your channel with all that.
Oh yeah, I did a video called is it called a sidearm or a forehand? And I clear up the debate once and for all, not because of my opinion, but because I go through the history of where all these different slang terms came from and exactly when they came into the sport. And so I went through the entire lineage of the names. I don't want to spoil it for you. Go watch my sidearm video. Sidearm, is it? I think it's called, is it a sidearm or a forehand? Mm-hmm. Making progress after the Clearwater seminar, alternating between reverting to old ways, throwing nose up, getting it correct with the Anheuser correction. But when I get it right, boy, it feels good. Yeah, the thing is just if you got to keep doing the step by step. If you're putting the steps together and it's not working, you're not going step by step. Focus on step, pause, throw, and then putting your body in the correct position every time. Every single time you throw, it doesn't mean you're going to have a good shot, but the nose should never go up. The disc should always have snap, and it should always fly basically on the line that you're aiming. I mean, you can miss by a little bit, but it should never be way off your line. That should always happen. Every bad shot you have should still snap, not nose up, basically on line. And if that's not happening, you have to go back to step by step until you can put them together. Last time I played in Charlotte, North Carolina, in my favorite course in Charlotte, I love Rennie Gold. That course is so freaking hard. Oh my God, that course is so much fun though. But that course, oh my God, I thought Rennie Gold's in my top 10. I think it's one of the best courses ever. So yeah, I played there last time. I played a tournament like 6 years ago there. But I did a challenge against Jeremy Colling. We raised $10,000 for a little girl with a congenital heart defect in this challenge match we did called Soar for Sophia. And I went out there. I had a head-to-head match against Jeremy Colling. And people bet on the winner. And I don't recall the outcome of what happened between Jeremy and I. I I think I might have won, or maybe he beat me by 9 strokes. I can't recall. But one of those two things is true. I love the Berg for under 200-foot up shots and running the basket. Just picked up a Rico. Rico feels great off the tee, but personally, where do you throw one versus the other? General rule of thumb is if I can reach a shot, you want to throw the slowest category of disc that you can comfortably reach the hole with. If you can reach a shot comfortably with the Berg, throw the Berg. Now that's a general rule. There's always exceptions based on ground play and trees and wind and all sorts of other factors. But a starting point is throw the slower category of disc. Let's see. Oh, I see a question about what European countries. What is your one simple piece of advice that would help anyone? I got the best advice ever. Go where the love is, not where it's supposed to be. The biggest mistake I see players make in their life, not players, humans make in their life, is they assume that the love is supposed to come from your parents or your siblings or your spouse, because it should come from those places. The problem is that people are flawed, and sometimes people have shit parents, and sometimes you have bad relationships, and sometimes your siblings suck. And but people are they commit to well, that's where I'm supposed to get my advice from, and that's going to be my safety net, and that's my people. And almost everybody has people in their life that will give them love, but it's not the people that are supposed to. It's your teacher, it's your neighbor, it's your friend, it's your kids' friends, it's people on the disc golf course, it's your coworker. There's love out there, but they don't seek out where the love is. They get wired to this idea that it's got to come from their parents, for instance. How many people have been traumatized because they have shit parents? They're 40 years old and their 60-year-old shit parent is still messing with their life. Well, that's because they're still trying to go where the love is supposed to be. So I got a little deep there, but the love's out there. Just take it where it comes, not where you hope it should come from. How about that for way deeper than throwing techniques? But you asked. I got on my soapbox there, but you asked. Pick one course to play for the rest of your life. Well, Eagles Crossing. Eagles Crossing is the best course I've ever played. But damn, Toboggan's good. It would keep me in shape. And Maple Hill. Which European countries will I be visiting next year? Oh, that's easy. I'm going to be going. I'll be competing in Croatia. I'll be doing a seminar in Serbia, and then we'll be going to visit Greece, and then we'll be playing tournaments in Switzerland, Germany, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Estonia, Lithuania, Hungary, I think, or Austria, and Spain, and maybe the Scottish National Championships. And I plan on doing that. Seminars are my all-day classes. I'll be doing clinics everywhere, which are my 2-hour events where as many people as want to can show up. I charge like $20 or $30 a person, depending on where. Especially in Europe, I will charge less in some countries than other because it has to be relative to income based on that country. And there's countries where income it's just different. So, but $20 to $30 ballpark, and I'll be doing them all over. I'm my friend with Ron Russell. Yeah, I talked to Ron on the phone, a month ago? Mm-hmm. He called me right after the Big Money Skins match. And I know why he called, because he knew that I was representing an entire generation of players who would like the modern players to know just how damn good we were. The game's evolved. The players today are better than the players of the old days, for sure. 100% the sport and the level of play has evolved. It would be an insult to the sport to say the players aren't better today. It's stupid. Of course they are. But that doesn't mean the players of old are as bad as some modern players think we are. That is nonsense. The players of old were incredible. It's just the sport's evolved. It's both. So anyways, I represented Ron when I made that shot. All my friends from the 90s.
Have you seen the huge pull?
The huge pull, yeah. I've seen the video. Yeah, I was on YouTube talking about it.
You haven't been to his house?
No, I haven't been to his house. He is in either Jacksonville or Melbourne. I can't remember. I think it's Jacksonville. What are some keys to a sidearm turnover? Well, if you want to throw it, well, first off, you got to throw a disc that doesn't have a high fade. And then you need to throw slightly understable disc. Okay, wow. How about if I plug the lutes? This is what I use for, I'm sorry, I was happen to be holding this disc, and it's what I throw on basically all my hyzer flips. So the idea of the sidearm turnover is to make sure you throw a disc that doesn't fade. So when it turns over, it'll stay like a hyzer flip disc. With Lutz is probably the one I'm using the most. I use the Assassin also for that shot. Put a lot of spin on it because when it runs out of spin, it's also going to fade more. If I could have any current player, FP or MPO, caddy for me, who would it be and why? Ooh, God, that's a great question. Who's pissed me off recently? No one has. I'm not mad at anybody.
Why do you have to be pissed off at them?
Well, because I would rub their nose in it the whole round. I'm like, you're caddying for me.
Oh.
Of course. Look who's carrying my bag. Honestly, God. It wouldn't be somebody that's like just because they're my friend. It would be somebody where I could be like, how I got probably Jeremy Colling.
He's such a good sport.
He's a great sport. He's one of my favorite people in the world. And I would basically make a live stream for like 2.5 hours where I just sat there and just said, did I mention Jeremy Colling's carrying my bag? Oh, you see that? Okay. And then I would throw a shot. Did I mention to you guys that Jeremy Colling? Like, hold on, let me see. Jeremy, hey, right there. He's carrying my bag. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, I'm getting older. Did I mention that Jeremy Colling? Hold on, let me show you. I would probably do that for like 3 hours. Since I started training for the 2022 season, what single moment has brought you the most happiness and fulfillment? Two of them. One was the Eagles Crossing, the Big Money Skins match, of course. But also, I would have to say stepping onto the first tee at the first hole in Las Vegas, knowing that I'd made it and I'd got there. And that I was here and that I was doing this thing. I was very, very satisfied with that. But Big Money Skins. Nico needs something to do. Maybe teach him how to behave or give him some counseling. All right. So first off, Nico De Castro is one of my favorite people. He's a friend of mine, and he's a really good dude. I mean, if he was your neighbor and you broke down, he would drive and bring you gas. He would be your friend if he's your friend. And obviously certain things need to happen and need to change because he's human. We're all human. And I hope he doesn't get defined by that. And I know it's not just one incident. So it's not like one incident is going to define you. But I don't want him defined by a thing that he's not good at in his life, because I happen to be great at controlling my emotions on the golf course. But I happen to be shitty at spelling. Doesn't mean I don't want to be good at spelling. It means there's an area in my brain, because our brains are assholes and our brains are flawed. There's a part of my brain that doesn't do as well as I want it to do when it comes to spelling. The part of my brain that does math is super high level. I didn't choose that. I didn't choose one part of my brain to work better than the other. So when somebody has something that is a flaw, that means that there's something up here that isn't working the way they wanted to. And that's what's going on. And that's not like he's a great guy. So I love Nico, and I think Nico's he's my friend, and he's a good guy. That's all I want everybody to know. And that final thing, if you get the chance, let him come back from this. He's gonna get punished, but once you've done the time, there's got to be a path back. And a chance to say, hey, I'm going to do better next time. So let him do better next time. You're joking about the caddy thing. I wasn't. Now I want Jeremy Colling to caddy for me. I'm going to message him after I get off the live stream. Say, Jeremy, I think I'm like 2 strokes ahead of him. So maybe I'll ask him to caddy for me on his last 2 holes. The Open at Tallahassee in 2023, free room and board for the legend. I won't be in the United States in 2023. I will be at least 5,000 miles away whenever that tournament is. So I appreciate the offer, though. Okay, yeah, I see some message from Joe. Nico is a good guy. Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, I mean, you know Nico. He's a cool dude. None of us are perfect, and we all have things we could be better at. Just some of them happen to, you can see it. You can't see that I'm shitty at spelling. You could see other things in people. Doesn't mean that's who they are. No more questions. This is cool. So let me ask y'all. I'm gonna do this every single Friday night for the month of August. And what I'm gonna gauge is my crowd growing every single week? If it's growing, oh, that's cool. I wanted there's more questions coming in. But if the numbers are growing and this is catching on, I'll keep doing it. So if y'all are interested in this, help spread the word. I'll be posting about the live stream next Friday night. If you tell people to come over, tell them it's fun or interesting, tell them I'll get real deep about, well, like twice. And then I'll goof off the rest of the time unless I think it's something serious. But there's more questions. Let's shoot them over. Is it true that most caddies hate their players so much they shun them and turns their backs on them? I've never heard that. So I've never heard that. I don't know anything about caddies because I don't know anything about the ball golf culture. Except I actually have a friend who was a caddy on the PGA Tour, and this is when, like, in the 90s, it was like, back then it's like there were issues about certain things that disc golfers did that maybe didn't make them look so good to parks departments and to parents and things like that at that time. And he caddied on the PGA Tour, and he says that they were doing the same thing that the disc golfers are doing, except a more expensive version of it. And he says that they partied. The caddies didn't hang out with the players on the PGA Tour. It was very much like a hierarchy. Like I think the players were up here and you didn't associate with the caddies or something like that. If I'm wrong, forgive me. If you're a PGA pro watching and I'm full of shit, then tell me I'm full of shit. But I got the impression that it's not the culture we would want. In our sport, our caddies are our friends. How many more seasons do you think I have? I'm going to play MP80? No, I'm going to play MPO when I'm 80. Yeah, that's a slick answer, right? No, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to predict this. I will be a 1,000 rated player when I'm 60 years old. Because, like, now that I'm actually out there practicing, putting the effort in, I'm shooting about 1,015. And, like, I'll still be throwing 500 feet when I'm 60 because I'm throwing 600 now. So I'll have the distance. So I think I can still be a 1,000 rated player. My goals aren't the competition, though. You know, my goals are to travel the world and promote disc golf and have experiences. So I'll still be going, but, like, on the pro tour, who knows? What do I know now about your disc golf tips you wish you would have known when you first started playing? And if I think I knew this back then, would have broken more records. I don't think I would have broken any more records as far as distance. You know, I still threw harder back then than certainly as hard as anybody throws today, if not a little bit harder. And now I just got saying in golf, well, the sport has evolved, right? Of course, like, there's reasons that you can say the sport's evolved. There's more players, etc. So how could I say that I threw as far back then as nowadays? Well, I was such an outlier. I mean, I was on like I literally threw 100 feet farther than anyone else on tour with speed 6 discs. So I was a mega outlier, which is why my distance translates today. I threw 91 miles an hour with a golf weight disc. I know Simon got up to 89 miles an hour with a golf disc, which is phenomenal, which is really close to as fast as I threw. And then he threw some, you know, I had to world record for the world's fastest throw. And then he got smart and threw like an 130-gram disc, which is obviously easier to accelerate, and threw it like 95. So we were close. I mean, he was close, but I don't think there's something I could have done differently. Maybe I could have been in better shape physically. Maybe I could have thrown, man, maybe I could have been a little stronger, but not much. Golf-wise, though, I am a better finesse player than I was back then. I fine-tuned my finesse technique. I was doing some things mechanically wrong back then that killed me. If I was a better finesse player back then, I would have won some more tournaments. If you could have a video of one disc golf event or shot from the past, what would it be? God, if I could have one video.
That's a great question.
That's a great question. You know, I think, even though this wasn't the most spectacular thing, because I mean, I shot back-to-back 14 unders at Vista del Camino, which is the memorial. You know, I had some of those types of rounds. But I think not one shot at the World Championships in 1998. And these were rated, and it only showed up as like 1030 something, which is kind of silly. The ratings were new at the time. But the whole pro field was broken into two pools, and we played Mount Airy. And to give you an idea of how tough Mount Airy was with speed 6 and 7 discs, is that one of the pools, you know, the field was split in half, so like 72 players. One of the pools, not one single player in that pool shot under par at Mount Airy for the day. And I shot 2 rounds at Mount Airy bogey free. So they didn't even break par, and I had 0 bogeys. And I think that was probably one of the highest level days of golf I ever played, even though I think it probably came in at 1030 something or like whatever. But there's no, absolutely not. I think having a video of that would be good. If I could look back and say, look, I used to actually be pretty darn good at this thing, I think that would probably be up there. Best joke about disc golf. Let's see, I can't tell that one. The best one I can't tell, and don't ask, I'm not going to.
You'll have to tell me because I want to know now.
You want to know? No, it's the story about the 2 players, which I won't say out loud, who were arguing in the car in front of me.
Okay, I do know that one.
Yeah, that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Now everybody's going to get pissed at me for not sharing. Okay.
Smash the super sticker and we'll DM you or something.
No, I'm not sharing this with anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, it sounds harder than Northwood Black. No, I've never played Northwood Blacks, and I guarantee Mount Airy is not harder. My guess is Mount Airy with the high-speed discs with the modern players, I think you're probably trying to shoot double digits on it, or at least you're probably happy with 6 or 7, 8 under, 9 under. This is just, it was for the time and the era and just relative to the field is why. But no, Mount Airy is a fantastic course, but it's not Eagles Crossing or Toboggan. Like, as far as difficulty, it's not even close. I mean, the Toboggan course today, I had 1 bogey, and that's mind blowing. If I only have 1 bogey tomorrow and 1 bogey on Sunday, I'm finishing top 10. I could basically guarantee that'll happen if I only have 1 bogey around. That course is so hard. If I can just stay away from like a round with 2 bogeys and a double, or 2 doubles and 2 bogeys or something, if I can stay out of that, I'm top 10. This course is tough. At Northwoods Black, 1,000 rate around is 6 over. Yeah, no, not even close. Any other disc like the Berg? No, I've never thrown a disc like the Berg. The Berg's the best approach disc ever. In fact, my Tour Series Bergs at scottstokely.net are no better than the ones you buy at the store, other than the fact that I make the money off them and not someone else. But that's it. So, no, the Tour Series Bergs at scottstokely.net. I will tell you this. They can be hard to find. Everyone else at times is out of them, and I'm not out. I keep I keep them stockpiled. How many players in the MP65? How many players are there MP65? I don't know, but it's growing. I mean, this is definitely a sport. A lot of people are picking up the sport older, and certainly, just like golf, you can play older. And then, of course, a lot of the players that played younger are aging and still play. It's 65's. I mean,
it's only going to keep getting bigger.
It's only going to keep getting bigger. Top 3 players of all time to play around with. I'm going to go ahead and say Joe Rosino, and that's partially because he's in here with us, but he's also my first disc golf coach. We'll go Joe Rosino and Leonard Muse out of California, and how about Pat Govang? By the way, every time I get asked for my dream foursome, I pick different people because I don't have a specific pick. 35, started playing disc golf a year ago, progressing and love playing and competing. Should I have limited expectations about performance with age? Okay, so the answer is yes and no. So the big picture answer is don't let anybody put a fucking ceiling on you at anything in life, ever. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. Don't let anybody tell you that those dreams are too big. Don't let anybody tell you that you have to do things a certain way, because everyone knows that you got to live your life a certain way, and like people will try to hold you down. So the big picture is absolutely, positively, don't let anybody tell you can't be as successful as you want to be. Having said that, I also think that you can be rational about what those dreams are. They're going to be loftier than the people around you think you should have. But if you set them too high, then you might not enjoy the journey so much. So, like, for example, you're 35 years old. You just started playing a year ago. If you said you wanted to play and win win worlds in MPO, I think you're crazy. And it's not because I'm trying to keep you down or contrary to what I just said about people keeping you down. I'm just going, come on. Like, there's a point of that would be insane. However, if you said, I'm going to work my ass off, and when I hit 40, I want to be a competitive MP40 professional disc golfer, I would say, hell yeah. Now, it's an uphill battle because there's 40-year-olds that have been playing for 20 years. I'm not saying that it isn't going to be hard, but that is a realistic, very realistic, but yet lofty goal. And so I think you do have to temper your expectations, at least to the point where you're not being crazy or just, irrational about it. But don't let anybody tell you can't be a very successful player, that you can't win tournaments, or that you can't. Like, if someone said to you right now, here, I'll give you an example of one. If you said, I'm 34 years old, I started playing a year ago, and 5 years ago, I want to go on tour, and I want to go travel around the country playing MP40 tournaments, I want to make a living as a professional disc golfer in the MP40 division, you would have people laugh at you, and they're those people you need to just kick out of your life. Because, of course, you can go out and tour and make a living and become a good teacher, and then run clinics while you travel and run some events to make some side money, and then have some custom merchandise while you go as you promote your online store, and you're playing in tournaments and competing and winning prize money. Next thing you know, you're a professional disc golfer. You're not sitting in a cubicle. You're not laying bricks. You're playing disc golf for a living. Of course, that's realistic. So don't let anybody put a ceiling on you. But I think that if you want to have, it should be realistically obtainable too. And I might have just completely contradicted myself there. If I did, to my YouTube channel, I'm allowed. Lake Marshall Silver Series, very fun course. I think that's the one in Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not. My season is basically booked. Trying to be Deani, guys. My season is basically.
It's that early round.
It's that early round. Yeah, well, I won't be playing early tomorrow. I'm not playing until 2 something probably. No, my season's already booked for the year, and then after that, I'm leaving the country. No idea when I'm going to come back. And by the way, I will be on live every Friday night in August at 9 p.m. Eastern time. If y'all are having fun, please come back and tell people. So you don't necessarily have to have high-speed discs to throw distance. Well, high-speed discs, when you throw them fast, fly farther. 100%. If you throw them fast, they fly farther.
But if you can't throw fast?
But if you can't throw fast, they don't fly farther. I mean, if you throw 350 feet with a speed 8 disc, you're not throwing farther with a speed 13. You know, and if it does fly a little bit farther, the trade-off is a very squirrely and unpredictable flight, and you don't get the benefit of the high-speed disc anyways. At that, give me 1 second.
What do you need?
Yeah. People are asking about my diet. So here's my milkshake. It is exactly 30 grams of protein, and there is, 1 gram of sugar. After Europe, I'd love to see you in New Zealand. Well, I'm going to go to New Zealand and Australia before Europe. I'll be in Australia in October or November, probably November.
End of October.
End of October.
End of November.
End of November is where I'm playing
Aussie Championship.
Yeah, the Australian Championships. End of November. I'm going to be there. So I will be there, and I'll be in New Zealand afterwards.
I just put that one up so you can tell the story about cutting the freaking tree down.
Oh, the Iron Leaf?
At Funky Farms.
Yeah, we did a big celebrity skins match, and I threw a sidearm really, really hard, and I broke a branch off a tree way too hard for a disc golf throw to knock off. And everybody in my group, it's a celebrity pro-am, so I was in the group with Paul Macbeth, Katrina Allen, and
Who else
was Ricky in my group?
Yeah, Ricky.
And Ricky Wysocki was. I mean, like.
Yeah, and that footage is coming out.
That footage is coming out on the 20th of August, and everybody's like, or 26th of August, and everybody's like, Jesus Christ, I've never seen a tree that big get broken off, and so that was kind of fun. By the way, I put Williams. Go ahead and put William Selder's question up too. Okay. What about putting silicone on Robert's golf disc before a round somewhere? Yeah, he was tortured. There's a player who we love. We love this guy. There's nothing. Well, I don't say. I was about to say it wasn't malicious. It was extremely malicious, but it was extremely malicious in the way guys do shitty things to each other if we like each other, because that's what friends do. And so yeah, he put silicone in his golf bag. That was horrific. But that's not the worst thing he ever did to him. Any insight on throwing the choline air bounce? Yeah. Well, so first off, it's choline has popularized that throw, but they were doing that in the 70s. And it's actually a throw I do as a way of putting spin on a backhand clockwise spin in freestyle, because you want to put spin on the disc but pop the nose up on it. What Jeremy does with that throw is phenomenal. He does it with a golf disc better than anyone's ever done it with a golf disc. So I'm cool with him getting credit for what he does, but it's sick. Where's my favorite course in Oklahoma City? I think I've only played one, and that was Will Rogers Park. So I'm going to say Will Rogers Park. That course has been around since like 1977 or something. Oh, thank you for reading my book. Yeah, my book, Growing Up Disc Golf, is at scottstokely.net. Check it out. Favorite course to play? Favorite course to play, Eagles Crossing. I mean, Eagles Crossing is the best course I've ever played. It's so good, and it's so hard. Any plans of a clinic in Des Moines when your tour rolls through? Missed it last time. Yeah, I am planning. I'll be reaching out to them very soon, because I will be playing at the Des Moines Challenge. I'm actually, and everybody raise your right hand and promise you won't share this on the internet if I let you all in on a secret. Everybody promise? I'm going to win the Des Moines Challenge. don't tell the other players that, because I don't want them to not enjoy like their week in Des Moines, thinking that they have a chance to win, because if they know that I'm going to win, just I don't take the fun away from them. My putting sucks. My arm is fatigued. Is there anything I do in the meantime to improve my game? If your arm is fatigued and it's fatigued from playing, get in better shape, which is probably the last answer you wanted to hear, but it's probably the answer you already knew before I told you. If your arm's fatigued from playing, I mean, I'm not saying you're not going to get fatigued. You get fatigued doing any sports. But in terms of actual fatigue, in sports, we're a pretty low fatigue sport compared to a lot of them. Get stronger. Do resistance training, weight training, get your body in good shape, and you'll get less fatigued. That's the best thing you can do. You're in my first 6-month class and finally started to undo all the damage you've done chasing YouTube rabbit holes. If anyone gets a chance, the Stokely method works. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. The hot round was -10 today with low wind and temperatures of 70 to 80s tomorrow. Could we see more of the same? I know this course is really hard and 600 feet longer this year. Yeah, the thing is, I wouldn't predict any individual player is going to shoot 10 under. 10 under is smoking hot. But when you have a field of 75 players that are like 10, 20 or above, or some ridiculous, like there's so many good players out there. This is just statistics and probabilities. If you plugged everybody's skill level into a random number generator based on each player's percentage chance of birdieing a given hole, and you run everybody through 18 holes, you're going to have fluctuations. It's going to be a variance in the numbers that come out. Nobody's averaging 10 under after 10 rounds, but the shorter the sample size, and 18 holes is the short sample size, you get a larger variance. So you're going to get really good players shooting 10 under, you're going to get really good players shooting 3 over. Whereas if you play 10 rounds, you get a whole lot of players shooting between 3 and 6. Give me 1 second, guys. Don't go. I'll be just 1 sec. Plug the phone in. Any idea where the flakes are? Uh-oh. What?
Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. Okay, all right. Sorry, we're plugging the phone in. All right. Suggestions: someone who might be coming into money and wants to live a life of disc golf, combined philanthropy and traveling. Well, nice to meet you. We should hang out. No, just kidding.
Not kidding.
No.
Not kidding.
Want to live a life of disc golf? Yes, go live. Yeah, the clinic. By the way, Eric has a question. By the way, living a life of disc golf. Live a life of disc golf. Do it. My biggest advice, not the logistics of doing it, is don't let anybody tell you can't do it. Don't let anybody put rules on you. Like the idea that that's not how you're supposed to live your life. Like, I don't know. My entire life has been, whenever I'm living the life the way I want to live it, which is I'm a full-time nomad. I very much have a different type of relationship with my partner. Like, everything is not the way normal society says to do things. And that works for me, works for us. We aren't happy if we're living the way you're supposed to. So my biggest advice to you is don't let anybody tell you what to do. If you want to buy a van and travel around the country and play disc golf, do it. Don't even hesitate. Don't look back either. Thank you for sending that. I appreciate that. I appreciate. I'll donate wherever I choose. Yeah. So I need to announce tomorrow, because I did not announce my Columbus Open money, which I won $600 at the Columbus Open. I need to send that. I have not announced that yet, just because I got behind, not because it's not going. So I'll announce that, and I'll announce my Great Lakes Open. I guess I'll just make sure I'll do that tomorrow. Make a note so I do that tomorrow. What questions have I not been asked that you've always wanted to answer? Ooh. Okay, I want to think about that one for a second while I drink my 1 gram of sugar milkshake.
You can come back to that.
No. I want to think. Where's a good question that I have always wanted to be asked but haven't answered? I think I kind of just answered it with the last part about not living your life the way you want to live it. So this is here. I'm going to answer the question that I have been asked. But the question is, the question that I've not been asked that you're asking me is, what is the secret to happiness? How about that? I'm going to go deep here for a second. So if you don't want to hear the old man on his soapbox, go get a cup of coffee. I'll be done in a couple minutes. So I think the number one key to happiness is you have to figure out what makes you happy. Now, that sounds really simple, right? Figure out what makes you happy and do that. Except if it was really simple, everybody would do it. So what happens is there's these preconceived ideas of how one is supposed to live their life. You have to have this type of job. You have to have this type of relationship. You have to have this type of vehicle. You need this type of security. You need to live a certain way. And those ways that people think you should live, I think the reason they think that is because the majority of people do fit into that box. I think the majority of people are happy, that they truly are happiest knowing that they have a paycheck coming every 2 weeks. They have the security of a big company that they know is not going out of business. They got a job they're not going to get fired from. They're in a monogamous relationship with somebody that shares religious and family commonalities. They're happier. It's secure. But the idea is that there's other ways to live your life. And so I think everybody should do to be happy is step back, throw away every preconceived idea you've ever had about what you're supposed to do. College, career, relationship, family. Do you want kids? Do you want pets? Do you want to travel? Do you need a home? What country do you want to live in? Do you want to follow a religion, right? Start from scratch and then analyze each thing with an open mind. And you may find that you come to the conclusion that, you know what? I really need a home to come back to every night. I could never be a nomad, there's nothing wrong with that. But you also might go, do I really want a home? Or would I be happier going on a different adventure every week? And if you conclude that I think I'd be happier going on an adventure every week, then you go, well, how can I make that happen? Well, I'm not rich. I don't have a trust fund. What does that look like? Just Google, how do I travel and work? Holy shit. There's lots of ways to make money and travel. Okay. And then you go down the rabbit hole and then you figure out this path that works for you that may not look anything like the one that you thought you wanted to do a day before when you kind of had in your head you're supposed to live a certain way. Best example of this, there's people that have wanted kids their entire life, and those people should be parents. They've dreamt of a kid, they've dreamt of their family. But I'd be willing to bet that 2 out of every 3 people have kids because that's what you do in your 20s. You get married and have kids. It's not that they wanted kids. And then are they really going to be happy when they're not doing the thing that they really wanted to do because they were supposed to? I don't think so. I think those are the people that are unhappy. So figure out from scratch what makes you happy. By the way, you can do this when you're 40 years old. You can rethink your life and then figure that out, figure that path out, and then live your life based on what you want. And it doesn't have to look like anybody else's. And I know from experience that is, at least for me, that is when I'm happiest, when I'm living my life. And by the way, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want a boss. I want freedom. Well, that includes, I've had foreclosures. I've gone broke. I've starved. It's not an easy life. I'm not choosing the easiest life, but I'm happier struggling and failing working for myself than I would be making a lot of money working for someone else. It's just, that's not my happy place. So figure out what works for you with a clean slate with no preconceived ideas, and that's where happiness lies. And if that was too much, sorry, that's the old man, my channel. As a father of a child with special needs, I've always wondered how you got involved in the special needs community. And any ideas when I'll be back around California for my son to meet you? So we'll say hello to your child with special needs from me, please. And I got involved for the same reason us guys do almost everything. I was trying to impress a girl. No altruistic motives. Sorry. There's no like epiphany or awakening or anything like that. I was dating a woman who had a son with autism, and I didn't know anything about the special needs community, nor did I know anything about autism, and I didn't honestly even care about it. I didn't dislike it. I didn't like. I just nothing did. It just wasn't on my radar. It wasn't my world. But she was in my world, and of course then by extension her son, and I wanted to impress her. And so I thought, well, I'll run some special needs events. That'll make her feel good. And I'll start doing things for families with special needs because I started to see how hard she struggled. And then what I found is that it was more rewarding to me than playing well at a tournament. I would do a special needs class the day before a tournament with some families that came up. And I realized that what I was doing for them meant more to them than throwing good shots meant to the players who were like, wow, you just threw a good shot and you're good at disc golf. And so I found a lot of value in meeting in that world, but it didn't start there. You know, I'm not some saint that walked around being altruistic my entire life. I discovered something that made me feel good. And when I made me feel good, I kept doing it. And I'll say it right now, and people think this is going to sound, well, they'll think this is weird if I can't explain it, but I do it all for incredibly selfish reasons. I mean, I give away 100% of my prize money, or my tournament prize money, and then which there's a reason why, but it was a big portion of the skins money, but not all of it. That'll be in a documentary that's coming out. But I give that out because it makes me feel good. I like putting my head down on the pillow at night and thinking, man, you're a real good dude. I like who you are, Scott. I feel good about myself, and I like the praise. And you're supposed to do all these things for altruistic reasons. You're not supposed to have selfish motives for doing good things. And I think that's the biggest crock of shit in the history of crocks of shit. I believe that if you do good things, it does not matter why you do them. So again, I'm getting off on a little bit of a rant here, but I don't care. I don't care if you donate to charities because it's a tax write-off. I don't care if you donate more money to charities because you're trying to impress the people at church by putting $100 bill in the basket instead of a 20. I don't care if you're trying to impress your girlfriend. I don't care if you do it because you like Facebook likes. Not relevant to me at all. What matters is you're doing good things. Your motives for doing good things, I could give two shits about. I don't care. So I like to be involved in the special needs community because it makes me feel good about myself. It makes me like who I am. And that's my motivation. So I started off with very non-altruistic reasons, found some very deep reasons, but then realized at the end of the day that they were very self-serving reasons. But none of it changes the fact that I think I'm doing a lot of good stuff out there, regardless of the reason. Okay, I'm not going to get deep anymore, everybody. If you stuck that one out, that'll be the last time. Advice for studying young kids in the game for fun and progression. Yeah, if they play badly, make them run laps. Take their video games away. Punish them. Right? I come from the 70s. There's no participation ribbons. Scream at them, yell at them, belittle at them, and destroy their self-esteem whenever they fail on the disc golf course. Okay. Or if you don't want to do that, I guess probably the other approach is, to me, the best way to help your kids' disc golf game. The only thing you should force them to do is make sure you force them to learn all the shots. Be adamant about the fact that you can't just throw all sidearm. A lot of little kids throw sidearms. No, you got to throw sidearm and backhand. You got to learn all the shots. But I believe if you want the best chance of helping your kids' disc golf career is to let them play when they want to play and don't make them play when they don't want to play. Like if you push them, they're going to push back. They're not going to like it. And if you stop them from playing as much as they want, then you're going to put a ceiling on them because they're not getting good. They're not putting the time in. So let them play it as long as they enjoy it, with the understanding that they may not enjoy it next month or next year. And they may also not enjoy it and come back in a few years. But if you just kind of give them a level field to run on and let them pursue it, and if they love it, then they'll be great. Have I read a touring pro and thought that guy is a genuine asshole? Yep, I sure have. And I'll tell you exactly who those players are. The players that I think are absolute, positive, genuine assholes in the sport, I mean, we're talking just really bad guys, are, I'm not going to say. No, there are a few players that I don't think are good people. However, I can't stand people that don't like someone and feel that they need to make other people not like them either. So I'll never say ever out loud who those players are, because it's not my job to make you not like them. You may have a fantastic experience and you may think they're great and they may be great to you. So I'm never telling you. So I have my opinions, but you're never going to get it out of me. Sorry. By the way, if any of you thought I don't think anybody actually thought I was going to say, I don't say bad things about people. I nothing them. Read between the lines. If there's people out there that you notice I don't ever compliment, maybe there's something to that, but I'll never say something bad. What hole did I like playing most today? Hole 4. I liked hole 1 because I felt so damn good. I felt good all day today. I posted this morning that I felt strong and good. I knew I was going to play well. So, yeah, I'd say hole 1, I felt good. The players' party tomorrow, Holdens. Are we going to the players' party tomorrow?
Yep.
We are?
Yep.
Are we vending there?
Yep.
Okay, we'll be at the players' party. We'll be vending. That's easy. So, yeah, I'll be there. I didn't know anything about it. I don't handle any of the logistics. It's all in the schedule. How come more people don't bag gummy putters? I think a lot of people find that gummy putters are more inconsistent out of your hand, especially when it gets warm out. The more they flop around, the harder they are to control for a lot of people. When does the next book come out? We'll include stories from this year's Disc Golf Pro Tour. So I'm hoping to have the next book out by the end of next year. And I don't know exactly where the stopping point is going to be. So my original idea was it was growing up disc golf up to the point where I stopped playing for 13 years. And then I was going to do my second book called Losing Disc Golf, which is my 13 years away. And then my third book would be called Finding Disc Golf, which is my time back. The problem is that I don't believe that I have a mainstream type of appeal where I can write an entire book that has almost nothing to do with disc golf and interest my disc golf audience. And I know the people that follow me closely are like, well, we'll read anything that you write, but y'all are the minority. The majority of passive players want disc golf stories. They want to hear about other players. They want to hear about Ricky and Paul and Simon, and they want to hear disc golf stories. So I've recently thought, because I have a first draft done, that I might actually do the second book up until my decision to go back on tour, because that'll have all the special needs work and all the touring and all the return. And then the DGPT would be the third book, because that story is not done being told. So I'll be doing the European Pro Tour next year. So there's a whole other book about coming back on tour that I'm leaning towards doing, but it's undecided. What's the furthest What's the furthest you've seen a first-time forehand throw or throw after you taught them? I've worked with a lot of people that they play baseball and they say, I throw a 200-foot sidearm, and I go, what other sports did you do? And they're like, well, I played college baseball. And I say, okay, you're going to throw 400 feet today. And they laugh. And they're like, what are you talking about? I throw 200. I'm like, no, you played college baseball. You can throw a sidearm 400 feet, and you're going to today. So those are exceptions, but anybody that's played ball, especially at a high-level baseball, like they can shred right out of the gate. I want to join the disc golf tour and try one of those order cooks you talked about in your book. They need to go to St. Thomas, Ontario, Canada, and I don't think you want to try one of those cookies. I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably not.
And that's not how you got E. coli.
And that's not how I got E. coli. No, I got E. I'll tell you where I got E. coli. I'm positive where it is. So the only place that I'm eating that Adriana doesn't eat is I like to eat at taco trucks. But here's the thing about the taco trucks, and she'll tell you this is God's honest truth. If I see a taco truck and I want tacos, if I pull up next to the taco truck and it's really clean, I just keep driving, right?
Yep.
Like I won't stop. I will not eat at a taco truck that looks sanitary. That's not a real taco truck. I grew up in LA. The best taco trucks were freaking disgusting. And so it's the same thing. If I go to a taco truck and it's like good quality meat in the tacos, I'm like, that's not a taco truck. Like it's got to be the most drizzly, lame, lousy meat out there for it to be authentic to me. So I think that's where I got the E. coli. My scheduled clinics, scottstokely.net. Everything is posted at scottstokely.net, but also get on the mailing list. Go to scottstokely.net and it'll all be, you'll be notified when I post new clinics and seminars and online classes and new products and everything. It's on the mailing list. Do I watch other disc golf YouTube channels? And if yes, who are some of your favorites? I watch very little disc golf. I am so busy. I literally do a full day seminar every Monday. I teach 3 online classes every Tuesday. I typically do a clinic every Wednesday, a clinic every Thursday. I put out at least one video 7 days a week. I have to practice courses. I have to drive to the next destination, and then I got to play the tournaments. I got to show up to players' parties, and I got a video game coming out. I finished the first draft of my second book, and I have a disc with a chip on it, which we're going to be releasing here pretty soon. I got tour discs. I've got clothing line. I got so many different things I'm doing. I don't have time to watch the channels. So I'm bad about that. Not bad. I miss meals because I'm like, I don't have 30 minutes this afternoon to eat. It's I'm the hardest working person. By the way, none of this is a complaint. Not one bit of complaints. I'm making great money and building a really nice future for myself. And so not a complaint in the world, but I'm super busy. Having said that, I think I have come across, let's say Alden Harris. His stuff's good. It's hilarious. So Alden, and he's doing stuff with Gannon Burr.
They're funny.
That they are funny. They're really, really good. Is stability actually just a one-dimensional quantity, like turn and glide, tightly correlated with each other, inversely related to fade? I almost call glide and fade are more related to each other. A disc with a high fade doesn't glide. All those numbers they're not subjective. I mean, they're based on something, but they're also based on a certain speed throw with a certain amount of wobble and a certain RPM. Like it's subjective. At some point, it's subjective to a point. The only thing those numbers is a starting place. You just got to go out and throw the discs. If they serve anything, they're maybe relative to one another. If they're from the same manufacturer, like a -3 turn will turn over more than a -2 turn. If it's from the same manufacturer, probably because they're rating their numbers compared to the other discs in their line. But a -3 turn and a negative from 2 different companies could be 2 different things because they both have a different idea of what that baseline is and how much a disc has to turn before you change numbers. So really, they're just numbers relative to each other for certain, with the company you're throwing. It's not a perfect system, but I will tell you that it's a hell of a lot better then whichever bozo came up with the first flight rating system. Let me tell you about this idiot. The first flight rating system ever was actually from -3 to +3. I mean, this moron basically said, I'm just going to put one number on a disc. +3 is the most overstable, -3 is understable. I mean, what kind of a fool would think? And by the way, if you haven't guessed by now, that was me. I came up with the first rating system for discs. And that's the best I came up with at the time, was just to stick one number on it. I mean, you want to talk about a flawed system. The system that, and it was actually Innova that came up with, the system that Innova came up with, like, obviously blew whatever I was doing out of the water. I think they did a good job, but it's still a starting point. Mark Ellis's racquetball sidearm was unique and effective, but not sure how teachable it is. What, you mean like the windmill technique? Because like I teach that about 50% of players need to throw a windmill. Yep. So sorry. If I may ask a question about the seminars, what would someone bring to those who's in it?
We send mail.
What?
We send out an email to everybody so they know what to bring.
Oh, what would someone bring to the? Oh, bro, what would you bring? Yeah, well, you get an email. I mean, basically, you just need to bring discs, a chair to sit on, and something to drink, and then yourself, and then of course an open mind and a desire to learn, and all those things that you would always put in a brochure about a class. Which Michigan old timers have you run into at D-Glow? I'm calling year 2000 old timers. I don't know about that. I ran into Gary Laura today. I think he's been playing since the 80s. And Jim Kenner, who I have not run into yet, although I'm having lunch with him on Tuesday. He was playing in the 60s. So that's old timer. He was actually playing before I was born. Yeah. All right. So let's give it another plug. If y'all are interested, Scott Stokely barbecue sauce. Let me go grab some. If you haven't seen, let's see, let me grab all 4 bottles. If you haven't seen this already, at scottstokely.net is Texas Smoky barbecue sauce, Stokely sauce, and it's got a capital letter D on it. What does that mean? There's Carolina vinegar with a capital I. There's Kansas City Sweet with a capital S. There is, and of course, California Spicy with a capital C. These labels got kind of trashed, but I have 4 flavors of Stokely barbecue sauce at scottstokely.net. They're really, really good. I encourage you to try them. And then when you get them, please post a picture on your social media of you eating a meal with them and telling everybody how awesome they are. If you think they're awesome, I don't want anybody to lie. But if you don't think they're awesome and you think they're terrible, just don't say anything. You don't have to say that they're awful. No, you're not. No one's going to think they're awful. They're really, really good. So scottstokely.net, and then scottstokely.net, my tour series Looks is available. There's only a few people, or only a few of the signed ones left in stock, and then they're gone forever. And there's, hey, Sherry, I said Sherry. And my tour series Marvel, and there's tour series Bergs, and there's tour series Stalls, and tour series Harps, and tour series Wizards. And there's jerseys, my cool Stokely Universe jerseys, and my book. And so scottstokely.net, there's my commercial that our sponsors keep this channel on the air. Who was my recommendation for the PDJ board? Well, Conrad Damon. I don't know anything about the other people, but I know Conrad is super smart and has a massive amount of integrity. So all I know about Conrad is that I would trust him to be honest and do his best. Let's see. You changed my forehand game for the better. Unbelievably, really. Now, why can't I make a putt anymore? I've lost my swagger. Push, push, spin. Doesn't matter. My anxiety's taking me down on the green. Go watch my video on getting rid of putting nerves. Okay? It's not pseudo-science nonsense. I give a complete breakdown of something called the illusion of control, which is an actual fact based on quantifiable data. I don't have nothing on my mental game has to do with breathing techniques or thinking this or some mental trick or if you picture this instead of that. Like, I don't understand any of that. Everything I talk about is every single thing I talk about on that video can be backed up with data, where if you want to argue with me, you have to prove that my data is wrong. And my data comes from lots of other sports because there's a lot of data in other sports to basically dispel a lot of myths about mental game. I'll throw one out there just to give you an example of a myth that can be so easily disproven. Everybody knows if you're playing a basketball game and the game's close, you got to get the ball to the guy with the hot hand, or at any point in the game, you got to give it to the player with the hot hand. Well, it's pretty easy to plug numbers into a computer and demonstrate that after a player's made 3 shots in a row, they are no more likely to make that 4th shot than their season average. If you flip a coin 3 times, it comes up heads 3 times. It's not more or less likely to be heads on the next flip. It's still 50-50. It doesn't change anything. Now, we didn't know that was the case in sports because there's reasons, because it feels like the player's in a zone and they're feeling hot and like it looks like that's the case. But you can plug those numbers into a computer and actually have a little algorithm that will spit out the numbers. There's no such thing as being in the zone. Period. End of discussion. Can't argue it. The data backs it up. So that's the type of thing on the mental game. Everything is stuff that is real and true, that's verifiable. And if you listen to it, I think it's going to help you. And then keep throwing the way. Try to throw forehand because it's right. Sauce. Oh, I like that. Sauce. I think I heard Homer Simpson, right?
Yeah.
I've been wondering how you would suggest people select disc weight. Similar across the board, lighter for drivers. Discs in the 160s are going to fly farther than discs in the 170s. Period. Can't argue. The question is can you control those lighter discs as well? If you can control the flight of a disc in the 160s as well as the 170s, then why not take the extra distance? If, however, you lose some accuracy or you feel that you're losing accuracy because you're throwing a lighter disc, then you have to decide, am I willing to trade accuracy and control for distance? That's up to you. Suggestions to keep a 12-year-old interested in playing. He's really good. Gets frustrated when he shoots poorly, and encouragement only makes him more frustrated. Yeah, I mean, the thing about kids, well, let me ask you a question. When you were 12 years old, could your parents make you interested in something? Like, is there anything they could do that would make you want to put the time in and the effort in? Like, I don't think so. I don't think you can make a kid interested in anything. You can force them to do it, but you can't make them want to do it. I truly believe what you do is you do both sides. You don't push the kid because you don't push them to play more or practice more than they want. But on the flip side, if they are interested and you want them to get good and want to support them getting good, you have to allow them to obsess over it as well. I would suspect that if you asked the mom of every single player in the NBA without exception, I'd be willing to bet every NBA mom out there will tell you their kid would be shooting free throws at midnight and they'd be screaming at him to get inside. The kid wanted to get good at basketball and they were obsessed with it. So I think you have to, if you want the kid to get good at something, you need to stay out of the way and clear the the path for them to run, but you can't make them be interested. At least it wouldn't have worked when I was a kid. For anyone that needs to review a Scott's 6-month class, I'm in it and been throwing at this for 3 months. 2 of it have been in Scott's class. I gained 100 feet of distance. It's been a game changer for a newbie learning how to throw. Thank you so much, Sherry. I really appreciate that. I love watching players get better. It's amazing. Like, I get so much fun. Last question?
Yep.
No, Joshua Terry has something. What did it do, Scott? Any tips on staying cool in the melting heat? Yeah, get off to this golf course and sit in your car with the AC running. No, I think the big thing.
Hydrate.
Yeah, hydrate. And number one, number two. I've seen this for decades, and I'm sure I'm guilty of it myself if I'm not paying attention. But players will stand out in the sun when there's shade 5 feet away. It's not a big deal. Except at the end of like a 4-hour round, if you were in the sun for 35 minutes versus an hour and a half, you're worse off because you were in the sun an hour and a half than if you were in the sun for 35 minutes. And a lot of times you had the option to stand in the shade. So always move towards shade. It sounds like it doesn't matter on one hole, but it adds up.
Terry, you want to see that?
Let's see. Mr. Clinton Akron, because your first child was born that day. Look forward to meeting and learning from you one day. I think you got to like rethink your priorities. What?
You told me you should have come to the clinic instead of to the birth of the child.
Well, look. I mean,
That's a hot
you
take,
mean should he have come to the clinic instead of the birth of the child? Well, let's put it this way: he's probably going to have 2.5 children, but there was only one Scott Stokely clinic.
Yeah, and the kid's not even going to remember that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm totally kidding. Congratulations on the child. I hope everything went smooth and awesome. Please don't hate me for joking. But if your wife asks you, tell her that I told you you should have skipped the birth and come to the clinic and see what she says. I have plenty of wives out there that hate me because I give the husbands old school advice. Like, it usually ends with do whatever you want. It's 70 style. Hey guys. All right, so I'm gonna go head out because it's been a couple hours. I've had a lot of fun. If y'all had fun, please next on future Fridays. Well, first come, but tell people about this. If you guys think it's fun, I'll jump in here for a couple hours every Friday night. Well, I'm gonna do every Friday night for the month of August, but if the numbers are growing, I'll keep doing it because this is super fun for me. Last plug, go to scottstokely.net. Tour Series Lutz. Old school advice, rub dirt on it. There you go. Tour Series Lutz. I got some signed ones. They may be gone by now, but if there may not be, at scottstokely.net. The Marvel Tour Series discs. You can get all those discs there. They are basically, they're a similar price to any other store. The difference is I'm the one who gets the profit and not one of those silly pro shops that are making so much money they don't need your support. Totally not to. Go shop at a local pro shop for discs. I'm totally kidding. Support local businesses all the way, especially the pro shops. They're the ones that are running leagues, and they're usually instrumental in getting new courses put in the town. So totally kidding. Support the pro shops. But if you want to support what I'm doing, or just you enjoy the free content, the tutorial videos or the live stream, then go to scottstokely.net and buy stuff. Thanks, y'all.